Again with the Office of the Guardian. Hello, Kim. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Happy, midday of the month, I guess, of May?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, May 15th, right?
Yeah.
That's a good day. I always thought 5/15 was a good day. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Other
fives,
people
I guess.
apparently thought it was a good day, too. But no, alas, no.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so let's talk about the world situation since we last spoke on Monday.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to bring up, because it keeps coming up over and over and over again, and in the alt media, there's a lot of fear about this being promoted, also in mainstream media, about this being the year of the cicada. Now, cicada, the insect, has a few habits, and one of them being they remain dormant for a number of years. And then every 20 or so years, 25, I think it is, something like that, we have an enormous amount of cicadas during the spring, spring into early summer. And when certain folks, that have a clock and some other folks in the alt media talk about the year of the cicada, they're not talking about some bugs and, in abundance, I should say, around the country here in the U.S. and in other parts of the world. They're actually talking about a group of people.
Okay.
So let's talk about Project Cicada. Now, Project Cicada is similar in a lot of ways to programs you've heard of, such as the Monarch program, MK Ultra, Super Soldier programs, and the cicadas are very similar. It's for a different reason and done a little differently, and it is not a U.S.-based program, although it infiltrates into the United States. Now, the cicada program is over 1,000 years old. It was very heavily tied to specific locations in Japan, but also throughout China. Now, the program was actually run by a lady that's no longer with us, known as Mayo. And whomever 1,000 years ago was inhabited by the being we know as Lilith. We talked about the Lucifer inhabitants. Well, we also had Lilith inhabitants. So, which happened throughout history, and more than one, sometimes at a time, Mayo being one of them. And the program was actually designed, they put out these puzzles they call Cicada 3301. And the puzzles are designed, there's various like cyber puzzles, cryptex puzzles, other things you might see in an IQ test, or you might see them in other types of personality tests, like if you ever had to do those for a job, or psychological evaluations, those types of things. But this is on a much higher level. And their goal is to source out children and young adults to become a part of the Cicada program, because they have exhibited extreme intelligence, but also exhibit behaviors that do not find desirable, such as a fear of authority and things like that. They would like to have that. So you also have to be a person that fits into a very specific psychological profile as well in order to enter into the program. Now, the purpose of the program is to recruit these intelligent humans, individuals, to train them and to bring them up in a specific industry that they may have shown a specific type of intellect for, such as, maybe they are recruited for cyber work, and then they eventually go on to work for the NSA or any one of the Nine Eyes programs underneath the NSA. They could go to Pine Gap. They could go into politics. They could go into becoming a political aide somewhere. Militaries, Joint Chiefs of Staff, or whatever it's called in other nations by the same name. They do the same thing. Heads and directors of intelligence agencies. These kids are specifically placed throughout all power centers of the world to include, for example, universities as professors, as teachers, as research and development persons. They work in national laboratories in every single country in the world. They are everywhere. Now, the cicada program was actually designed to give a person, we know Mayo in this particular case at this time, even though she's not here anymore, full control over the entire world. So at a moment's notice, she could activate the cicadas, and the cicadas would then take over their respective places of employment.
Wow.
Yeah, be it a government, be it an intelligence agency, you name it, this is what the cicadas were designed to do. Now, activation. Let's talk a little bit about that because this is something that's come up in the last 48 hours. So, gotta love the deep state always. So, activation of a cicada to its fullest degree and with information and with monetary support was not as easy as the SSP would have liked. The system is highly secured. They believe that not too long ago, they were in Osaka, Japan, and they had acquired the database of cicadas. So a log of all the cicadas that were around the world and specific things that would activate them. However, Mayo, much like the rest of the people in the world, are not as stupid as the SSP. Because nobody puts out all of your wares in one database. No one does that. No one. And Mayo was no exception. Now, the activation of a cicada group can be done in a number of different ways. And the ways that they are familiar with has to do with phrases or a little song, a little jingle, but you have to do it in a specific order. And it has to be accompanied by a specific frequency and so on and so forth so that the cicada is triggered as to what their orders are because they're planted deep in their subconscious memory as part of this program. So in the absence of Mayo, they did not have the final key, but something they found very exciting happened based on it being about 1,008 years after the program began. And that was a fake, let's just say a fake depository of money appeared on behalf of the cicadas this year. Because this year was supposed to be the total takeover of the Mayo. Remember, we were going to have a harvest ceremony and, these events were going to take place. And so when I mean by fake money, it's a bunch of numbers on a screen with no allocation numbers.
Okay.
And no cooperation from Alpha. But we did see it pop up yesterday. So this gave them hope that if they could activate the cicadas to work for them, then now they've got a full-on army to take over the entire world. Brilliant, right?
How many people are we talking about, do you think, that were involved in this program?
Well, they are regular humans. Some are enhanced, some are not enhanced physically. I would say there's probably some things they do to make them smarter in order to eliminate the governors on your brain, that kind of thing. I would say, it's been going on for over 1,000 years. No one is 1,000 years old in the program. So, millions maybe, hundreds of thousands.
And they don't realize they're in the program?
They believe that they have gone to a school for exceptionally smart children. That's what they believe. They have gone on into their respective field. They have excelled at their respective field. They have definitely have an intention of, for them, they kind of keep a close-knit circle amongst themselves. And for them, this is where a little bit of heartburn comes in for us. Like, what do we do here? Because for them, they seem to be intelligent people. They are very logical minded. There is no emotion, so to speak, when it comes to making decisions. It's all 100% logical. And they could utilize their skills for something positive. But the SSP has a grip on them and has a database of who they are and where they are. So I'm a little bit concerned for their own selves. And then I know they'll never find the final key to activate the cicadas for their benefit. That's for sure. Mainly because the final key for that would be in my system. I kind of took that. And then there's a whole master key that was involved, which I also took over. Mm-hmm. So I know that they'll never be activated for a negative purpose. And I haven't gone into it deep enough to find out if they can be utilized for a positive purpose, because I've never seen anybody try to activate them before. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about the school in Japan. It's also part of that program. And children are recruited from all over the world for this purpose. So got to be an assessment here before we make any kind of real decisions. But the SSP is watching them all now. And
just monitoring them to see what they're doing, or they're obviously trying to activate them, but that's not going to work.
Yeah. So that money kind of flashed up on the screen for a short period of time yesterday. It's not real. It was fake, but numbers on a screen flashed up and they got all excited. Mm-hmm. And when they couldn't access it, they thought that there might be something I might do that might trigger the access to it. I don't know. Maybe this is in one of their weirdo books. And that never happened. Mm-hmm. The other thing is they have kidnapped a couple of these cicadas to try to see if they had the access codes to access it.
Like, is there a hierarchy? Are there like higher level cicadas or something that?
Well, it's kind of like the old trustee program that existed for, say, the Order of the Dragon, or for even the families. It's 2 keys to get in and 3 keys to get out. And the third key was always held by Marduk back in those days. Yeah. And it was the same way, the cicadas worked the same way with Mayo, who is no longer with us. And the thing that crawled up inside her is no longer with us either, mm-hmm. Anywhere in the multiverse. So there's no real key except for the keys that I have now made for myself. Because why? Because I control the system. So I can make those keys disappear or appear anytime I want to. But, and they were pretty frustrated that they couldn't actually activate it. Now, they did manage to get some information from some of them that were aware of a program that could potentially trigger last night that would allow them some access. It was a backup system, if you will, that existed in the following locations: New Zealand, Democratic Republic of Congo, and in Papua New Guinea. So all 3 locations were, either a mountain or, in Bukavu, same thing, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then they were tied to a center underneath Maryland, where the NSA used to actually perform a function, but they can't really do that anymore. So needless to say, all 4 sites were cleared out in rapid succession, which gave me much joy because they took my consciousness in essence and tried to use my key to open up their system. And that didn't work out for them either. So goodbye, good riddance. So sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. And if they do it again, we will get more of you. And then we will also get the people that ordered such a thing, like we're doing today, as an example. So we'll be less a few operatives around the world for being just flat out stupid, and liking to have world domination based on a bunch of cicadas. So we'll see. But I would say this: if you are aware that you are part of this program, then you need to run. You need to hide, at least for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. If anybody happens to know, because if you were part of that database, because there are some that maybe weren't, like you said, different levels, that they found in Osaka, Japan, then I would suggest you are very careful, because these people are looking for you. Wow. Because they're out of smart people. Mm-hmm. They need smart people to do things for them. So anyway, until we can figure out what to do, with that type of situation. We do have a copy of the database as well. Unfortunately, they have hard copies of the database, so there's not a whole lot I can do as far as that. It's not an electronic thing. It's not something, perhaps some of the people we sent looking for them can find all the copies that they have.
So. But that's only a partial list, right?
Yeah, it's a partial list. The elite of the elite there are not listed in that database in any way. They did something similar to what I did with the GIA, where I list Agent X and I don't put any kind of name there, unless there's cross-referenced in a specific way. And even then, only then will I get a flag, and then I can determine whether or not I want to allow somebody to see who that person is or not. And their database is designed much the same way. So, but of course, true to form, they think that they've gotten all the information. They have unsuccessfully, and they know they've been unsuccessful in triggering a cicada to do their ultimate job, what they've been programmed in their subconscious mind to do. Thus far, they have definitely, like I said, tried to use them for hacking, for getting access. The money is no longer there, even fake or otherwise. So the whole program was gone, and there's nothing left of that. But they thought they got enough information on where to go to these 4 different locations, specifically before midnight in China on the 15th, which has already passed, in order to trigger some other system. Again, boys with toys that are way out of their league. But they figure, they do honestly believe, and I'm sure of this, that they are the best humans that ever lived. They are they are the smartest, the specialist, the most amazing humans that ever lived, even more amazing than the cicadas, as a matter of fact. And of course, if a cicada could run it, because they're a lesser human, then they, of course, could run it.
It's kind of a warped perspective, because if they're so great, why can't they do it?
Well, that's what they did. That's why they took all the information from the cicadas and tried to do it themselves.
Jeez.
God rest their soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye. But it's not something that will crop up again anyway. It's over. But still. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of insight, because there's a lot of fear going around, prophecies and all kinds of things circulating about the cicadas coming this year, and it hasn't happened in this amount of time, and so on and so forth. And that is the real story behind it, because they felt, May 15th. It's
not about a bug.
Well, it's not, there's no coincidence between her name being May, MEI though.
Yeah.
Yes. And MEI is actually how they spell the month of May in the book, the Red Book. Actually, I have the Presidential Red Book. Well, it's all old accounts anyway now, but when they go to define JFK, because JFK was involved, the president at the time, back in the 60s when all this happened, and this book was formulated.
Wait, can you clarify? JFK was involved in the cicada program?
No, JFK was involved in the Black Sun, for sure. And he actually went and signed an agreement with Sukarno, I think it was, over in Indonesia, who was the then Black Dragon, in order to get an allocation of gold from the Black Eagle Trust to deposit into the treasuries of USA and other treasuries. And therefore, that caused the creation of what we call the $3 bill. Remember this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Kennedy's birthday was actually in May, and in the Red Book, it actually shows up as MEI. Interesting.
Yeah.
So May 15th allegedly was this day, 1,000 and so years later, where they thought this program was going to trigger all by itself in totality. But alas, no SSP global headquarter people. And no, you can't use my essence ever again. And no, I'm fresh out of concern for your health and welfare and well-being at this point, because, it does irritate my body. Like it's disturbing, it causes, all kinds of like weird things to happen for a little bit of time. And I'm like, really? But I know the sign of it now. So you can kind of tell when they activate it, because if they've got consciousness, it'll affect you in such a way where it almost feels like either, your head's being squeezed like a melon. That's number one. If you've ever had somebody try to attack you in that way, get some information from your brain. That's part of it. The other part of it is that it can make you feel off balance, uncomfortable, I would say. But that's okay. I took great pleasure in hitting up all those bases this morning.
So they were specifically targeting you and not just trying to get access to the Alpha system, because I know you're connected to Alpha. So
no, they actually, there's a few different times in my life for sure that I am fully aware that they took my essence. For example, in 2015 in Russia, I know that they took my essence, energy, consciousness. At that time, that's how they cloned the Kims a couple of years back. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, I'm aware of where they got some of it from. And then recently, here at a location locally, they allowed them in to do that, apparently. Now, so I don't know if they have any left anywhere. I couldn't find anything else, but we'll see what happens, over the next 24, 48 hours or so. But alas, it's not going to work anyway, because it's 186 different factor authentication, and you still have to, and that includes me breathing, living, all kinds of different things. It's not your atypical key. So,
yeah.
And to be fair, they're dual keys, right? I'm not the only one here. We also have Source. This is Source's system. I'm just a user of that system and permitted to have some master keys and some access. So, if I'm not locking you out, it will lock you out, one way or the other. It's never going to work for you. And then even if you got money out of it, it's still not going to function the way that you want it to. It will not cause war. It will not do this anymore. So good luck to them. Now, other developments as far as governments are concerned. There has been a lot of chatter in China, a lot of people coming, a lot of other countries going against China, threatening China, because payments are not coming out the way they were told they would in the last 24, 48 hours. And in some cases, this is deny, reassess, blame. But in other cases, China put themselves out there in nearly every country of the world, including the U.S. But things are really heating up with no bond payments. The assets are no good anymore. It's building up momentum. They said, just wait till this day, that day, this alignment, or whatever. And nothing has happened. And they're catching a lot of heat, even from other BRICS countries. So that is also happening. They have reached out indirectly for help from me. And I explained and reminded them about the $1.479 trillion in U.S. debt that we paid off, and also some other funding that came through to them in about 2012, 2013. And that unless I get my 2%, I am not interested in having a conversation with you. And that will be up front because I've already paid that money out to you. And you've already used that money to commit crimes against humanity. So I know they did. I know what they did with it. I know what they've done to all these countries around the world. And you know what? We'll sit down and have a chat after we've received 2%. Now, China government owns a portion of every single company in China, as most happens in most communist countries. And they own a large portion of Apple in their manufacturing. If everybody would like a new iPhone every year for life, we could probably get that done, if the Chinese government is still wanting to participate in care in some way. They also always come out with a new Mac every year. I'm sure that, production would like to have that. We could use a lot of stuff. Ford has moved most of its manufacturing operations over there. We could use some ambulance chassis and some fire truck chassis and, some other vehicles that we could utilize for care, for sure. We could probably even get some cool vans for UNN,
There you go.
for our field messengers and those kind of things. So there's lots of stuff you can do, China, so don't tell me that you can't. So if
Did they say that they couldn't? Are they fighting that?
No, not yet. I just turned down the offer.
Okay.
Number one, it came in directly, and I'm not doing that anymore. Number two, I don't trust the person the letter came from. And number three, you will address me directly this time.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Not through some crazy Chinese ladies. Sim Sim. They know exactly who I'm talking about. Her name is Sim Sim. So anyway, that is what's going on over there. So desperation is setting in for governments, and the Chinese government's clock is ticking based on their world domination plan. And it's not going very well. Even the Russians are threatening. They're way behind on their gas payments, oil payments. Russia needs money. And I am sure Russia needs money, but maybe you shouldn't poison the only person that can help you when they come to visit your country. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Don't you think? And by the way, Russia, you also got money back in 2012, 2013, and I would like my 2% from you too. I really like borscht. I do. Actually, I really do. I like beets in general. So, but anyway, the point is that, there's a lot of property there still owned by governments, even decades after the fall of the Soviet Union and government control. There's a lot of things that need to be repaired and fixed, all those old Stalin buildings. And there's a lot of things we'd love to do for the citizens of your country. So if you'd kindly just turn over 2% of what we laid out for you, I think it was about $500 billion or so at the time, we would love to help you. Because China's never going to pay you at this point, unless by some act of God, they come up with 2% in goods and services that they're going to provide to us here at CARE. Then otherwise I can't help them.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on even there with their local citizens. There's a lot of protests going on. We did some things that they're still doing in schools, which are just not right. There's a lot we would have to talk about before any funding went in that direction in any way, shape, or form. And things are going to have to change drastically. And now it's our way. Mm-hmm. So your free money days are over. Thank you for your inquiry. But we also are in need of stuff. We know that you control, a large percentage of all of this stuff over there that you make. And we don't want the cheesy toys that are meant to fall apart and those clothes that you can wear once and not wash. And we don't really want any of that. But we'll take some of the Apple products, maybe some, Ford products. We'll take a lot of stuff. You got stuff over there we want. You got lots of computer chips that you held out on. You also caused a crisis with insulin pens and the price of insulin going up sky high. And by the way, if you have any intention of launching that bird flu, you can kiss that conversation goodbye forever and a day. And I already know it's coming from there.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not going to help you fund another pandemic. And I know exactly what you're doing. I know that these people think I'm just dumb and blonde, Mm-hmm. Blonde, maybe, dumb, no. I don't hear you talking. Like I don't hear you having conversations with the SSP and the exchange for the Mayo information on the cicada program recently. Like I didn't hear you. Duh. You are considered an enormous threat, which sets off every bell and whistle when you're having this conversation. And it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of the Gobi Desert, hiding under a rock somewhere. I will find you and I will hear the conversation because you are an organic being and everything that is organic bleeds and dies at this moment in time. And you know what? You can too. But I can find you anywhere. I don't care how deep in this planet you're buried, in what kind of deep underground base or underneath some weirdo temple somewhere. And I'm saying all of this for a reason. I will find you. No, we're not doing that. No, I will not help you. No, I will not fund this program. No. And if you want to know why I won't get involved with it, it's because of what happened when I funded a government before and what they did with that money. So no, absolutely not. Have a nice day. Okay, moving forward on our aspects of care and all the other things that we're doing right now. Okay. Clearing of all that is has been a process. It's a positive process, and we now no longer have a division of celestials. So celestials pretty much can be further described, and this has become evident in the last 48 hours, because the last we talked, I had just met them, on Monday. So they are basically aspects of source, like you would have cells of your body dividing to make a little human, in when you're pregnant, as did source in the beginning to make a universe.
Okay.
So there was a further division of source. So we know about source, anti-source, and neutral source, but each one had their own set of 9 celestials, so to speak, or aspects of themselves that would control certain aspects of realities and alternative realities based on timelines and ages. So the aspects of reality are always pretty much the same. Mechanisms are put in place that are, let's just say, control mechanisms for certain aspects of what would happen naturally when you have an unnatural force and a natural force trying to co-create. A trinity, so to speak. Some of the items that have been, I should say, in the process of cleaning up would be some aspects of the celestial responsible for the tree of death, or the opposite of the tree of life, or the tree of evil is another one, the opposite. There was also a neutrality that was possessed certain aspects of both. Same thing for control of essence. That would be anti-essence or dark essence specifically, dark consciousness specifically, dark matter specifically, control of knowledge. All of these different aspects were all aspects of celestials. Now you had the 9 celestials plus source. So there would be 10 different aspects of control mechanisms that existed throughout the multiverse that are now clearing themselves out as all the celestials join back with source. So there'll be no more celestial guardian celestials needed.
Okay.
Because there is no need to, we're not changing timelines anymore. We're not changing ages anymore. So therefore we don't have dark timelines, light timelines, and neutral timelines. And therefore there's no need for guardians over each type of timeline.
Right.
We also don't have dark ages, neutral ages, and light ages anymore. We have simply a golden age. So therefore the guardians, or the celestials that were set to guard over the 9 different aspects of all that is, are not needed anymore.
Okay.
So these are the things that have been transpiring over the last 24 or 48 hours as far as the progress being made to clear the all that is, to move forward in the way of further restoration as you as a human know it.
Right.
So people's perception of restoration and what that really means is, funding comes out. We start to move forward with the care organization. We start being able to really take care of people on this planet. We start changing, food chains and transportation and all of those things. And this is what I know everyone is looking forward to, including me, honestly. If I never woke up in another day when someone's trying to suck the life out of you, to use it to hack into a computer system, that would be wonderful for me. Right. I would love to stop this from happening permanently. And hopefully clearing all that is will help with that. If there's no dark aspect for them to utilize to try to use someone else's essence and those types of things, perhaps we can stop that from happening. I had a friend of mine that's, pretty well, pretty spiritual, that kind of thing, who's somewhat on the radar yesterday, that called me and said that they felt like that someone had sucked all the energy out of them. I said, well, I'm sure they did, because of what they're trying to do. And it's terrible. Yeah. It disrupts your life. You can't even function. You need to take a nap. Like, it's awful, and what they do to us. And hopefully that will stop permanently, and I too will love to sit here and say, look, it's all getting started. We need a couple weeks to organize, that kind of thing. And then, away we go with care. I cannot wait myself to get out of the destruction mode and following crazy SSP operatives, think they're going to, trigger off some people somewhere to do something bad. I know. I'm tired of it too. I really, really am. I'm tired of hearing about, well, we can't do another, what 2.0. So we got to do bird flu this time, and we got to do, So there's that. But we'll see. We already got banned off of TikTok for saying things. Did
we get permanently banned? Or was it like slap on the wrist?
No, I think we got some strikes and we appealed it, but we'll see if we're still permanently banned. Oh, okay. They liked our appeal. So we won't be posting any segments of this world situation report on TikTok because it's, not appropriate to discuss bad things that China does on that channel.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? I know. Yeah, not for TikTok. You could probably post that other places, but not TikTok. Mm-hmm. So, but, like I said, I wish I had an answer for everybody. I am sure, based on the events, that that conversation on a world situation report is definitely very close at hand. I can't imagine it not being so after everything cycles through. Now, when you do make a change, for example, switching over from Tree of Death to aspects of to just Tree of Life only, these things take time to permeate. Sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes it's 48 hours. It is source after all, so it goes quicker. But it's a pretty vast universe out there. And all of this is part of restoration, in my opinion. And one thing cannot happen without the other. I was having some conversations yesterday about the what ifs. And if you've been following us for a while, think about all the things that just you're aware of that you've seen happen. So whether it's people departing or it's, plans changing, care versus, ratified assemblies versus, in different things that have happened that some of you have been involved in. And think about if it had happened then with those people in your assembly, what would have happened? Would you have been able to help people in your area? What kind of changes would have had to happen? Would you have blown through X amount of allocation and not produced anything, or even a nonprofit kind of situation? It's not, it's not all about profit. It's nonprofits too, Mm-hmm. And then, when it came time for the next year's allocation or whenever that would be, is there going to be more? You hadn't finished the last year's allocations. We would have had to appoint a different group to come in because you were unable to rectify the situation that happened, and then you all would have been out, and then it would have been somebody else that would have come in and taken over the projects. Mm-hmm. So, we have to look at things, in such a way where Source is in control and Source knows what's good for us. He knows what's good for you personally. You might have made different decisions 2 years ago than you would have made now. I know I would have.
Me too.
So, yeah. And now, you take a look and maybe sometimes, when one door closes, one door opens, and really think about it, because For me, I can honestly say that there's been a lot of doors that have closed, and the second that door closes, it opens another one.
Mm-hmm.
And Source knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's tough, it's difficult, it's hard to understand, and it's frustrating for me. And everybody always asks me, do you have that specific day? And I'm like,
Is it circled on your calendar? Can I see your calendar?
Yeah, can I see your calendar? Is it circled? Well, I mean, to be fair, every month at the beginning of the month, I usually ask, and it does change. It fluctuates based on, war is an ebb and a flow. And we may not be at war with the universe anymore. We may not be the war of God, so to speak, and the Trinity of God is not happening anymore. There is no longer a war for your mind, control, those kind of things. But we still have stupid people on this planet. So there is somewhat of a battle. And they're going to do anything and everything they can possibly do to try to control the world until they're dead, which we are more than happy to accommodate at this point because we're tired of you.
Right.
There's 8 billion of us and maybe a few million of you. And at this point, you're either going to get on the bus or get off the planet. And I'm not kidding. After this morning, I'm like, I said the duck word a few times. And I'm like, for duck's sake.
For duck dynasty
again, I'm like, really? Like, this is like, you've done this so many times with Mitter, the front corporation for the Jason Society. You've done this so many times. Just stop already. Yeah. You still can't use it without my person. And I'm not even going to give you the 186 factors of authentication for a key for me because it's not your problem.
Right.
But you are becoming my problem.
But they don't, as much as we can say that here on the news, I think they're just so desperate, and I think they don't want to.
They're duckers, Sonny.
They're duckers. Those duckers. Mother duckers.
Yeah. They're the queen mother of duckers on this planet.
But I think their ego is so big, honestly, like you said. It's just they don't think anybody, their program has been running for so long. They just think that they're better than everybody and, no one else can have the upper hand. So it's just ego,
Well, welcome to 2024, duckers, because you know what? We beat you this morning and we're going to beat you this afternoon and we're going to beat you tomorrow and we're going to beat you the next day. And we will keep beating you until you either die or concede.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not good to
just
be a
little
ducker.
Warning, little shot off the bow.
Little shot over the bow. I just tell you, it's happened so many times now in the last couple of years. I'm just like, really?
I know.
You wake up, you have coffee, you're feeling good, you're listening to some music, you're doing some work, getting done what you got to get done. And then the No Joy program kicks in,
I know.
And
we're right there.
And I got to hunt people down in the Ozarks of Arkansas. Who wants to hunt people down in the Ozarks of Arkansas at 6 a.m.? Nobody wants to do that. We want to have coffee and have Zen. Mm-hmm. Get your kids. Yeah. You only got a certain amount of time. It's at 6 a.m. You got to get your kids up for school, grandkids, or get yourself off to work or wherever you're going. You got a few Zen moments around then. No, not me. No, I'm in the Ozarks. On Devil's Hill, actually, in the Ozarks.
Of course
I am,
Devil's Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's about the world situation report for the last 48 hours. There's always something going on in the world. Definitely. I still am having conversations. I'm not having conversations. I'm hearing conversations that other people around me are having with governments, and I don't really see. I still stand firm in my statements of the other day at this moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the same as I do with China. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And funny part is the person that tried to give us some information about China is actually a nephew of someone that used to work with, who's now deceased, but Langley 5. Mm. So I'm guessing Langley 5 probably thought they would be in the clear too by today, and they're probably in trouble with the Chinese, who are in trouble with the Russians, who are in trouble with the Japanese, and the list goes on and on and on.
What a mess.
Yep, It's like dominoes of deep staters,
Yeah.
Big ducks in a row. I wish if one goes down, they all go down, I got to say. But
wouldn't that be nice?
No, I'm not willing to help you get out of your mess either, Langley 5. Nope. You and your SSP friends made promises you can't deliver on. And say hi to Paul for me, will you? Mwah. He's a special ducker.
I was going to say there's a little message in there for someone.
He's an egotistical ducker. Yes, he is. He better duck. So that's about it for today, but I will see you on Friday.
Answer this, though.
Okay.
If things get cleared and we're clear for funding, will you actually come on in person and tell everybody?
Like I said, you'll probably hear me first. Wherever I am. I won't be on camera when it happens, probably, because I'll be someplace else working. But, and yes, I will.
Okay.
I was actually planning on doing that today. I just ran out of time. I had to go to Duckerville.
So now anytime I hear that Kim's going to be on camera, I'm like, meh. I'm going to be listening and ask Mike.
Right.
Mike, is Kim going to be on camera today? And then I'll know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, during shower and get ready time, this morning, I was in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
In New Zealand.
Yeah.
In the Congo. So, okay. One more thing my mic has informed me of is my mic has said
after that long awkward pause.
Yeah, no, awkward pause. Sorry about that. I don't do this well, even when I have the headphone in my ear, and I'm on camera. I'm like, oh, the voice is happening right in the middle of what I'm saying.
Wait, this just did.
So sorry for the awkward pause. That's what happens when my mic starts to talk in my ear. Okay. He wanted me to remind you because I didn't do it on Monday because, I don't listen. No, I'm just kidding. It was just I forgot. That on our app, a lot of people have been asking to subscribe by PayPal. So we have signed up for a beta test. So we're in beta testing for PayPal. So we now can accept subscriptions through PayPal. But again, they're fixing any kind of glitches and we're being used as a guinea pig, but I'm thankful for that. So if that's something you want to participate in, give us some feedback, that kind of thing on how well that works, that would be great. And I think that's it, unless there's another voice coming into my headphone.
We're good, you said. We're good. Okay.
All right, then I'll see everybody on Friday. Maybe
Hopefully
I'll see you on Friday.
See you on Friday.
See you on Friday. See,
okay.
I might be saying something. Yeah.
I know. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Sunny.
Want to share news from UNN?